There's an adventure inside all of us. Some of us live for that adventure. Others let it take them someplace new. Your adventure begins here at Wind River Resort and Casino. Your adventure begins here at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Good morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Mike Krueger, and I am back from vacation. Took a day off yesterday. Was on the road from Portland back here to Redding, and glad to be back home, and certainly not so glad to be back to the heat. It was certainly nice and cool, especially in those mornings in the Portland area, but had a great time. Nice little Father's Day weekend, and now it's back to reality, back to work. Let's start with a live shot from our Redding Divine Sky Cam, and overlooking the Sacramento River off the distance. You can kind of see through some of that haze, Mount Shasta off in the distance. This is a look at our Lake Shastina camera. Hopefully it decides to refresh itself and get online here. Looks like we're having a little bit of an issue. I may just hold on for just one more second and we might get lucky. And yep, there we go. All right. Sometimes, just a little bit of a lag there. But this is looking out from the Lake Shastina Golf Resort, sponsored by Elwood Ranch. And look at that nice, beautiful shot looking out at Mount Shasta. I love coming down from the Portland area from the north. I can get a north view of that mountain itself, but beautiful nonetheless. And very excited to announce a brand new camera this is the Jones Valley Resort. This is the dock here. You can see all the boats, and of course you can see the Shasta Lake itself. This is sponsored by Elwood Ranch as well, and you can see just a beautiful shot of the lake there, and just a great spot to go if you head out to the lake frequently, maybe go fishing or whatnot. You can see what the conditions are, at least at that part of the lake. So again, want to thank Elwood Ranch for their support of Weather NorCal over the years, and on top of that, sponsoring these brand new cameras that we have here at Weather NorCal. Let's take a look at another camera, because this is out in Crescent City. This is Harbor District. You can see some of the low clouds that we have out there. I think we may have a hard time clearing things out here for parts of the coast. And, as I was leaving on my trip on Friday, it was Friday morning, I was actually going over Shasta Lake on the bridge there, and we're looking at Shasta Lake, and we can see lightning. I remember telling my son Aiden, hey, this is not the place you want to be on the lake is when you have lightning strikes, because you have this wide, vast area, and not to mention the fact that lightning or water is, the energy, the electricity can travel through the water, and you can get that static electricity many times as well. And you are going to be typically the highest point in the water, right? So as you know, lightning strikes the highest point in that area. So that's not the place you want to be, and I'm hoping that Haley and everyone else in the boat were very quickly trying to get to safe ground. I want to thank Haley, by the way, for sending in this photo. This was, again, a photo from Friday morning, and sent this photo from the free Weather NorCal app. You can do the same. All you have to do is download the app for free, and you can share your photo, and you just might see it right here on Coffee with Krueger. All right, let's get you out the door this morning for your Tuesday, June 23rd. There's a look at the temperatures out there right now. It's in the 60s for the most part in the valley, and we do have those temperatures in the 50s. And there you go. Ranches with Wolves. Yes, it's the Ranches with Wolves event, I believe. Kenny, you'll have to remind me what day that is. Kenny, if you get a chance, in the comments, here's what I want you to do. I think it's this Friday, if I'm not mistaken. So, Kenny, there is a great event. It is a fundraising event. It's the Ranches with Wolves, and it is on Friday. So yes, forgive me. There it is. He said it right there. It is on Friday. And I'll, of course, try to get you more details on that throughout the rest of the week. Remind myself to do that. It is a great event. Kenny does a lot of great work with especially the agriculture community, the ag community, and does what he can to kind of help those that need that little bit of extra help. So Kenny is just a big supporter of that. So you can support him and support the ag community by, of course, attending some of the events that he puts on and helping them out. So thanks again, Kenny, and thanks again for sponsoring these wonderful cameras that we have here at Weather NorCal. All right, let's go and take a look at the visibility out there. Of course, we saw on the sky cam there out at in Crescent City, the visibility was down a little bit here, but we certainly have seen worse conditions. But just note that you will be dealing with the gray skies, some of that patchy fog, patchy dense fog in some areas along the coast out there this morning. And Kenny's saying, yes, it's Friday at the Cascade Theater. So be sure to check that out. Again, we'll have more details on that throughout the week. Here's a look at your Skeeter meter. There you can see, of course, looking at it is a scale of 0 to 5. It's halfway there, folks. It's a little bit higher than it was this time last week, but you know, the Shasta Mosquito and Vector Control has a lot of great advice, and one of them is the 4 Ds of protection. Number 1D is drain any standing water that may produce mosquitoes, including tires, buckets, gutters, flower pots, and saucers. The number 2D is defend yourself and home by using insect repellent and making sure screens are in good condition. You don't want any holes in your screens, right? Dusk or dawn, avoid outdoor activities during peak mosquito feeding times. And D, dress in long sleeves and pants. Now, when it's hot, it's hard to do that, but it also is a great way to protect yourself from those mosquitoes because they like the skin, right? They can get through the skin. All right, out the door this morning. All right, temperature should be in the mid-70s for the valley as we get into the 8 o'clock hour. 60s for many of the high elevations, and there, of course, is the overcast skies we do have along the coast. So we do have high pressure in place. It's not a strong ridge, but it's a ridge nonetheless, and that's why it's been so warm out there and will be warm. We take a look at futurecasts here for today, and yeah, it looks like that marine layer may kind of hug the coast throughout the day. And we will probably see some afternoon cumulus clouds developing for many of the higher elevations, and maybe a stray shower. But overall, it should be dry and a warm day. In fact, there's a heat advisory for most of Siskiyou County today because of the heat. So temperatures in the upper 80s, low 90s in Siskiyou County. In the valley, you know, the thing is, I've got mid to upper 90s. Redding saw a high of 100 degrees yesterday. Could we see 100 degrees again today? Sure, it's not out of the question, but we'll generally be between 95 and 100 degrees here for today, in the valley at least, right? And then for the mountains, 80s and 90s and low 60s for the coast. Now for tonight, we're talking mid to upper 60s for the valley, 50s for most, pretty much the higher elevations, and for the coast. So looking at your 7-day forecast, yeah, I mean, it's going to be hot. We're going to be around 95 to 100 all the way through Thursday. But nothing surprising, nothing unusual, right? Nothing we can't handle. Temperatures in the mid to upper 80s by Friday, Saturday. For now, I'm keeping the valley dry, but you may remember last week, we're thinking the valley would be dry as well. And then in the end, the valley saw some thunderstorms and rain. So we'll have to watch for that potential as we go on Friday and the weekend, especially the first half of the weekend. The second half of the weekend, it's drying out and warming up. But I do have the best potential for those showers and possible thunderstorms as well. Friday, Saturday for the coast, inland, Trinity County, and pretty much all the other mountain locations, including Siskiyou, Modoc County, and the eastern mountains. Cooler temperatures during that time when we have the best chance for rain. But then, of course, it's warming back up for early next week. Here's a look at your fire weather outlook. No big wind events heading our way, but just those afternoon breezes that we typically see, especially in the valley and even parts of the eastern mountains. So again, nothing unusual when we're talking winds today or tomorrow. But notice the little spike in the temperatures for the west side of the valley Thursday and Friday. But here's the thing, even though the winds are picking up on Friday, we're not expecting the fire weather risk to be all that high. And I'll show you why. So here's the fire weather risk and humidity. Humidity is the numbers. Those are the numbers on your screen. So very low humidity. It's going to be hot, but the wind's not terribly strong and more of a southerly flow of winds. That being said, we're in the elevated fire weather risk. That's when we start seeing those light shades of orange. Same situation for your Wednesday, but by Thursday, more in the moderate to high risk. And the reason being is because of those strong winds on the west side of the valley, still very dry, but even though it will be a little windy on Friday, we have cooler temperatures. Humidity levels are much higher than we're used to. You'll probably feel muggy again out there, where we got those humidity levels in the mid to even upper 20s. All right, there's another look at our Shasta Lake Friday morning. Yeah, that again is not a situation you want to be in. I can only imagine that they were in their boat very quickly trying to get out of the water, because that again is not where you want to be. I want to remind you again, you can share your photos just like Haley did from the free Weather NorCal app. All right. Before we get to our sponsor of Coffee with Krueger, Wind River Resort and Casino, I want to introduce to you a new segment that we're going to be doing here on Weather NorCal. I'm very excited about it because it really does impact everybody, adults and children alike, and that is water safety, in particular for children, and starting them at a young age. So we are going to meet Mindy. She is a swim instructor, and she is licensed through I think it's the IRC, but she'll let you know what that is. But she has a unique way of giving swim lessons, only private lessons. That's the best way to do it. It's the most effective way to do it, and your children are going to be safer as a result. So again, the main perspective and the main goal of this is to just educate the public about water safety. So check it out.
Hey Weather NorCal, summer is officially here, and I've got some important statistics that you need to know before you head to the water. Drowning is the #1 cause of death in children ages 1 to 4, and it's the second leading cause of death in children ages 5 to 14. Drowning can happen in as little as 30 seconds, and it's often silent. The good news is most drownings are preventable when we use layers of protection. Use proper supervision, barriers, swim lessons, life jackets, and CPR classes. When we stack multiple layers of protection, we can keep our kids safe. You see, water safety isn't about fear, it's about proper preparation. I'm Mindy O'Dell with Reading ISR, and I will be here on Weather NorCal all summer long, providing you with water safety tips so that you can keep your family safe in and around the water this summer. Because together, we can make sure not one more child drowns in Shasta County.
Forgive me, it's ISR. I said whatever, ISR. And again, it's a certification for the nation, and it is the best form of certification you can get when it comes to teaching children, giving them lessons. So it's very important. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be kind of promoting it more. And I think we're going to have our first segment next Monday. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. So again, it just impacts everybody. Many people are in the water or around water, and it can be very dangerous for children and even adults alike. So she's got all kinds of great tips and tricks and things to help keep you safe around the water. All right, again, I want to remind you that we have sponsors here at Weather NorCal, and sponsoring Coffee with Krueger since day one is Wind River Resort and Casino. So here is a word from Wind River Resort and Casino.
It's time to saddle up and ride west. Wind River Resort and Casino is proud to bring Wyoming's own Ian Munsick to the Event Center stage. Friday, July 24th. Rising fast and bringing his signature sound. Ian brings the West to the rest. Tickets are just $60 plus fees. But they won't last long, so don't wait. Make it a country night to remember. Call 1-800-280-YOU-WIN to reserve your room and grab your tickets. Dust off those boots. Your adventure begins here at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Once again, I want to thank Wind River Resort and Casino for their support of Coffee with Krueger. And be sure to check out that show. Get your tickets before they sell out. All right, here's a look at our valley highs over the next, really, our highs are going to be 95 to 100 degrees in the valley. So really no big changes over the next couple of days. It's just going to be hot. Temperature is about 5 degrees above normal, give or take, over the next several days. But there is relief near the end of the week. It's going to be a lot like it was last week. Remember last week when we saw those temperatures drop significantly on Friday and even Saturday, and we even saw some rain in there. Now, there's still a little bit of uncertainty as far as where that rain will be, the exact timing of it, but it's still out of the question for maybe even the valley to get caught up in some of that activity as well. So we'll certainly keep you informed on that. Highs will be near normal. So even though it's warming up next week, not by a lot. All right, so let's go into that deeper dive forecast, shall we, for your Tuesday, June 23rd. Temperatures are right now mainly in the 60s. Look at that, 69 already for Redding, 56 degrees for Alturas, low 50s for the coast. Visibility, it's a little low in some spots. There may be some of that patchy fog for your morning commute along the coast, but otherwise, we certainly have seen worse conditions, but it is overcast, a little drizzly in some spots along the coast as well. And we may have a hard time burning that fog off entirely. We have high pressure over the desert southwest. Now, that's been building and getting a little bit stronger, but what's preventing it from getting as strong as it could is this area of low pressure right here. And this is going to kind of sit and spin here, this energy. And then eventually by the end of the week, that's what's going to come down, cool us off a bit, and give us that chance for showers. So again, there's the heat. The bubble of heat over the desert southwest. But this low pressure system's been riding over that bubble of heat, squashing those temperatures down a bit. So instead of 105, it's more like 95 to 100. So yeah, we'll certainly take those temperatures over those triple digits, right? But then this cooler air eventually starts to shift down to the south and east. So by Friday, Saturday, it's impacting the Pacific Northwest in particular, where they've got better chances for rain, significantly cooler weather for Friday, Saturday, but it is kind of making its way into Northern California. And some of that may skirt the area and give some of us some showers, possible thunderstorms for parts of the mountains and maybe even the valley, especially by Friday. But it's also going to most likely impact us in the form of some stronger winds. However, cooler, higher relative humidity. Now, as that moves out, some more energy will kind of swing around that. And again, this heat off to our west is trying to build in, but this is preventing that from happening. So as a result, yes, temperatures are warming up, but certainly not to the extent that we could be as we normally see this time of the year. So temperatures, long range, near normal. What's the normal high? About 94, 95. And that's about where we'll be through next week. But we've got to get through the next few days, the rest of this week, before we see that nice dip in the temperatures in the valley and really everywhere else come Friday, Saturday. Temperatures start to rebound again on Sunday. And then there it is. The average high for Redding is 94 degrees. We'll be right around that through the middle of next week. And then by Thursday, Friday, maybe a bit of an increase after that. But really nothing too unbearable, at least for this time of the year, as we do go through next week. Let's take a look at Futurecast and that potential for rain I was talking about. So the fog along the coast is going to have a hard time burning off. It's going to kind of stick around. Afternoon cumulus clouds in the higher elevations, maybe a stray shower, but overall it's going to be dry. Then on Wednesday, same situation, right? Those afternoon clouds, again, maybe a stray shower. We may see the fog burn off a little bit more as we go into Wednesday afternoon along the coast, but it returns come Thursday. Thursday afternoon, some afternoon clouds, but still staying dry out there. But there it is, right? There's the next shot of some rain. 8 a.m. on Friday, there is a few showers trying to develop. Now, the bulk of the rain looks to stay to our north, over the Pacific Northwest, as we'd expect with this type of pattern. And as we go into Friday afternoon, a lot more clouds. It's not showing much in the way of showers or even thunderstorms for the higher elevations, but we can't rule that potential out as we go through Friday afternoon and then once again on Saturday. So you can see not quite as impressive as what we saw last week, but certainly the potential is there and something we'll be watching very closely. Taking a look at the lake levels, I was driving over the lake yesterday. Over the bridge, not over the lake, but I was driving over the bridge and looking out at the lake, and we're starting to see more of that shoreline, right? That brown shoreline. And it looks a little disturbing, like, oh, the lake looks like it's getting a little low, but it's still above normal for this time of the year. So that's really the key to the lake levels as we go through the summer. It may look a little depressing as we start seeing more and more of that shoreline, but keep in mind, we've got to use the water. We're using the water. It fills up in the winter. We just didn't see it fill up as much as we typically do because of that lower snowpack as a result. But we do have those lower wave heights today, but by tomorrow, they may start to increase a bit. Now, no small craft advisories today, but that'll probably change by, at least for near the coast. But that'll probably change by tomorrow. But otherwise, patchy, dense fog will be out there with those winds from the northwest at about 5 to 10 knots. All right, here's your neighborhood forecast, sponsored by Dignity Health and Grange Co-op. We've got those temperatures in the mid to upper 90s for your daytime highs in Trinity County. So yeah, it's warm. Friday, maybe even Saturday, a chance for showers. And really where I think we're going to see most of the shower activity would be the mountains, will be the coast on Friday, Saturday, and even the inland areas. But today, tomorrow, even Thursday, you're dry, right? Temperatures should be in the upper 90s, but Orleans more like 92. For Siskiyou County, you've also got that chance for showers and maybe a thunderstorm or two for Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday, Monday, you'll be looking at those dry conditions. Same story for Modoc County, but still warm today, upper 80s to low 90s for your daytime highs. And for the eastern mountains, you're talking temperatures mainly in the 80s and 90s. And for the valley, temperatures in the mid to upper 90s there, 97 for Los Molinos, 94 for Hamilton City. Here's your 7-day forecast for Chico. We should stay well below 100 degrees, mid-90s on average for the next several days. 80s, though, by Friday, Saturday, Sunday, back in the low 90s by next Monday. Now, again, we'll be flirting with 100 degrees for the north end of the valley. Could Redding see 100? Sure, maybe even Anderson. But the farther south you go, the slightly cooler the temperatures are going to be. Looking at your 7-day forecast for Redding, you're in the upper 90s pretty much through Thursday, dropping down to the upper 80s by Friday, and then there you can see as we go into the weekend, yeah, much more pleasant weather here in store for us at that point in time. So it looks like it is going to be warming up a bit and staying fairly warm here for the rest of the week. However, we do have those cooler temperatures over the weekend, chance for showers, possible thunderstorms, especially in the higher elevations, but the valley most likely not seeing much in the way of activity, if any. Quite honestly, but it's something we'll be watching here very closely. Well, that's going to do it for us this morning for your Coffee with Krueger on this Tuesday, June 23rd. We'll see you again here tomorrow morning. In the meantime, stay cool out there. Be sure to stay hydrated, wear that sunscreen if you're going to be outside for a prolonged period of time. And we will see you throughout the day with my regular updates, morning, noon, and evening. And we'll see you right here tomorrow morning at 6:30. Have a great rest of your day. I'll get to it. Hold on.